Xbox handheld launched, M5 chips from Apple now here, and Intel's upcoming GPU has been benchmarked. Let's get into the hot news, everybody. I'm your Brett host. We're going to be going over the hottest tech news I can find on the internet while you enjoy your breakfast this Thursday, October 16th, 2025. And just as an announcement for everybody who's been paying attention to the streams that we do over on twitch.tv/UFD Tech and UFD Music, we've got a few enhancements that have been brought to those streams in case you want to win a 5090 PC over on UFD Tech or a 5070 Ti PC over on UFD Music. And those enhancements are, we now have a referral system that is active. If you bring your IRL or digital friends over, you both can get some extra points for just being collaborators on that. Additionally, we've implemented a Discord activity bonus. So if you're part of our Discord server and you connect that to your Twitch account, you should be able to get some bonus points. And if you actively participate in chat, you can potentially get rewarded with some bonus points there too. So you can go check all of that out in case you haven't checked out the streams in a while. We've made some key overhauls when it comes to all of the programming and details that go into the behind the scenes stuff. And speaking of the behind the scenes stuff, what happened behind the scenes at UFD Tech was we got the Xbox RG Ally X for review. This is not something that typically happens where we're able to hit a day one review embargo, but these things are launching as of today in case you're interested in picking one up. Kyler does have his review up. You can go watch that on our channel. It's pretty good. Kyler did a decent job. Asus couldn't send it to South Africa in time for us to get the review out, but they got it to Kyler. And essentially, I'll break it down for you. It's a really good handheld. $1,000 is really steep for a US price, but check out the comments. It's Jai saying, never thought I'd see Randy Marsh give a handheld review. Well, there you go. But one of the things that I do want to mention that Kyler didn't really focus on in his review yesterday, despite the fact that the Xbox Ally X is terribly priced in the United States compared to something like a Steam Deck OLED, in other parts of the world, such as South Africa, it actually is one of the most sensible handhelds. So you can see here that the Ally X is launching today for 19,000 South African Rand, which if you convert that is a little under 1,100 US dollars, which is more than what it costs in the States, unless you remember that South Africa includes their taxes. So that includes the 15% VAT tax, which if you get rid of that, means that this is cheaper than the Ally X in America, which is wild. But what's even more wild than that is that Valve doesn't have official distribution in South Africa, so they have to do things like gray import them, which means that it's just less than 1,000 Rand to get a Steam Deck OLED versus the Ally X, which is gonna be significantly faster even if it doesn't have an OLED screen. So that actually makes it more of a relevant comparison of like, they're basically the same amount of money here. Which one would you rather get? And considering that the Ally X is actually cheaper here than it is in the United States, I'm inclined to pick one of those up over the Steam Deck OLED, but we'll obviously also have to wait until the Legion Go 2's local pricing gets revealed, because who knows how that's going to go. But Lenovo also has local distribution here in South Africa. Let me know how the Ally X shapes up in your country. Asus has a pretty decent global presence, so I'm keen to hear what's going on there. But you know what's a great accessory for the Ally X or any gaming PC? Today's video sponsor. Sometimes it feels like finding a headset that is comfortable, stylish, and capable of delivering quality audio is like building a cart in a Mario Kart. You can never get all the stats where you want. Well, that is until today's sponsor, Fractal Design, launched their Scape headset earlier this year. The Scape aims to blend stylish design, customizable high-fidelity audio, and comfortable usage into one convenient headset that wirelessly charges on its own stand, always ready for a lengthy gaming session, and by lengthy, I mean up to 40 hours. The Scape also features a super wideband microphone for enhanced clarity and noise cancellation. You can even fully detach the mic when you don't need it, or if you need to tell a secret to someone in the other room and don't want the whole Fortnite squad to hear, you can just flip it up to mute. Now, if you're like me, you love customization on audio products, and the Scape does not disappoint. I gotta give huge kudos to Fractal for their web-based Adjust Pro tool. Your EQ, lighting, and other settings can all be adjusted without downloading another program to your PC, and these settings will follow you even when connecting to other devices. When you're not using Adjust Pro, you've got convenient physical interactions on these cups, like a volume knob and an easy connection mode switch for either 2.4 GHz or Bluetooth. With continued firmware support, Fractal is still providing an enhanced user experience by allowing you to increase the side tone max gain, as well as boosting the maximum speaker volume on the headset itself. Experience your game audio in the comfortable, stylish, and most importantly, quality way you've ever heard. Grab a pair of Fractal Design Scape headsets in either Scape Light or Scape Dark today via the link in the description. Huge thanks to Fractal for sponsoring. Well, you could also potentially pair your Fractal Scape with a VR headset in case you're so inclined, trying to figure all that out. But Samsung's XR headset event has now been set for October 21st. Yes, this coming Tuesday. We can find out more all about we want to know about Project Muhan.
You want.
I said that great. That was great construction of sentence. But that's not the only VR news that hit the market. Apple coming out with their M5 product line announcement. That includes, yes, a MacBook Pro. The M5 versus the M4 has a few key spec upgrades. Apple announcing all of this yesterday. Big upgrades, obviously, going to be in the AI sector. Neural rendering as well as the neural cores are upgraded, so it has 3.6 times faster than M4 performance for time to first token, 1.8 times faster than the M3 in Topaz Video, 1.7 times faster than the M3 in Blender with ray tracing, and 2.9 times faster than the M3 with speech AI enhancement in Premiere Pro. They also updated the memory bandwidth, going up to 153 gigabytes per second over the 120 gigabytes, and then also the neural accelerators give better GPU performance if you use that, and they're saying up to 45% better graphical performance than the M4, and the processor is the world's fastest performance core with no specific numbers there, and it's 15% faster in multi-threaded workloads. So the MacBook Pro M5 is now going to hit the streets this coming Wednesday on the 22nd. This is only for the 14-inch MacBook Pro because the M5 doesn't go into the 16-inch, only the Pro and the Max chips go into the 16-inch, so that's going to be potentially available in case you're interested in that. But they also updated the Vision Pro and the iPad Pro with the M5 chip, but the Vision Pro also getting a few other quality of life enhancements besides just the faster chip, which in case you're not familiar, the Vision Pro actually had an M2 chip, so this is skipping several generations to go to the M5. They're launching it with a new dual knit band, which should have been available at launch, and they should give for free to everybody who purchased the original Vision Pro, but they're not going to do that because it's Apple. But the original solo knit band wasn't very good. Now the dual knit band comes standard with it. Additionally, they're increasing the rendered pixels on the micro OLED display to give 10% better sharpness, a 20% boost in refresh rate going from 100 to 120, and allegedly a better battery life is going to be included with that thanks to the efficiency of the M5 processor. They're allowing you to order the PSVR 2 Sense controllers standalone, the Logitech Muse little scribbly doodad, and the dual knit band you can all order separately. However, you cannot trade in a previous Vision Pro for the upgraded one. They want your $3,500 all by itself. And then also with the iPad Pro, the things that are changing, M5 chip is happening. And then for their cellular side, they're getting the C1X chip that you can find in some of the mobile phones, which means that it's all Apple branded instead of Qualcomm. And then they're also getting the N1 chip, which handles all of the networking of Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and otherwise, which is also included in the latest iPhone lineup and now is included in the iPad Pros. And in case you want any of that, you might have to save up some money for it, which Reece is going to help you with.
Yo, welcome back to UFD Deals, bringing the hottest tech deals on the internet. And hey, here's your first deal. Starting off, we have this EpoMaker Galaxy 70 wireless 75% hot swappable mechanical keyboard for only $49.99, making it $50 or 50% off, whichever you like the sound of better. But then next, we have the AMD Ryzen 5 5500 desktop processor for $54.99, making it $20.71 off. And then lastly, we have this MSI Shadow 2X OC RTX 5070 graphics card at $499.99, making it $50 off and $50 under MSRP. And hey, with that, the deals are done. You can find these and more linked in the video description down below. But until next time, I'm gonna hand you off back to Brett for the rest of your hot news. Cheers.
Well, Reece, it looks like people are going to continue to have a bad deal when it comes to the 16-pin power connector, because this thing, in the last 48 hours, has had no less than half a dozen reports of melted connectors on various different graphics cards. Mostly all NVIDIA 5090 cards, whether that's PNY or MSI. They're having burnt cables just pop up left, right, and center. This is coming after we talked about how the Sapphire Nitro Plus also suffered a melted connector, but don't worry, everything's fine. There is no war in bossing. Say everything is okay with this new GPU power connector, okay? And speaking of new GPU stuff, Intel announcing their Crescent Island data center GPU, which is going to be made for, yeah, AI. You guessed it. Good job. The XE3P architecture, which is what we're expected to be called Celestial, getting unveiled for the first time in this data center graphics card. It's going to have the latest architecture, but 160 gigabytes of LPDDR5X memory, which is really intriguing, and it's supposed to essentially be an inferencing GPU that Intel's going to put in cloud providers. So the LPDDR5X is kind of interesting because that's mobile memory, 160 gigabytes is quite a bit of it. The problem with all of that is that it's not supposed to launch until the second half of next year, which is a long time from now, especially considering how far ahead AMD and NVIDIA both are in the data center realm. To have Intel announce that they're going to have this GPU not come out for another full calendar year, kind of rough there. But they also did announce that Xe3P is supposed to come out to the next line of desktop chips. The Nova Lake series CPUs expected to get Xe3P. And what's also being found out is that the naming scheme of Panther Lake is essentially confirmed now that we're seeing it pop up in Hardware Monitor, where yes, indeed, they're going to have the Core Ultra X9 388H, the Core Ultra 9 375H, and the Core Ultra 736DU. Those are all going to be dependent on the specs that go into the thing. The X series branded chips are going to have high-end 12 Xe3 cores, and anything that's below that is going to have fewer. So the regular Ultra 9 is only going to have 4 Xe3 cores. But in case you're wondering, how is that going to perform? How is that new Xe3 GPU going to stack up against the Xe2 stuff? Well, we've got our first benchmark looking at these, the Panther Lake chip popping its head in TimeSpy. And despite the Apple-looking graph that they have right here, it's not as good as you would want it to be, because what we see is that the Ultra X9 388H compared to the Ultra 7258V is roughly 33% faster, which isn't a necessarily bad year-on-year upgrade. However, you do have to take into account that the Xe2 GPU only has 8 cores and the Xe3 GPU has 12 cores, which is a 50% core improvement for only 33% improvement in score. However, there is the caveat that we don't know the TDP of these chips, so it could potentially be performing at a lower power profile. This is also pre-production hardware, so this is likely going to improve in the future with better drivers support moving forward. But one of the things you can note is that it does outperform the HX370 chip at 54 watts. However, TimeSpy does tend to favor Intel GPUs, but it is still vastly under the 120 watt AI Max Plus 395. So you're not competing quite there with 12 Xe3 cores, but it's a good start. If that goes into handhelds, it gets into the updated MSI Claw, it's not going to be bad. It's going to be pretty good. So let me know what you think of the Xe3 GPU performance down below in the comments while I see what you had to say in Tuesday's episode of Hot News. We got Signal RGB popping up saying that melted 9070 XT is exactly why quality cables and proper airflow aren't optional. Your RGB won't save you from physics. Well, it appears like quality cables aren't necessarily a problem, because if your GPU isn't detecting that it's sending too much amperage through one of the cables, that's not a cable integrity issue. That is a GPU detection issue. Number two, proper airflow doesn't save you when you're pulling 20 plus amps through a single wire. None of that Signal RGB is going to help in this situation, unfortunately. And the fact that you said RGB won't save us, I feel like you're not living up to your name. I don't know why I got so hostile with you. Thanks for popping up in Hot News. But yeah, the problem goes beyond airflow and quality cables. It goes into the standard is bad, it appears that, and we should likely move on from it. Go to EPS connectors for GPUs would likely make a whole lot of sense. And then we got Elrune saying, just noticed you have now 1.4 million subscribers. Didn't you have like 1 million yesterday? Yeah, I mean, we've been growing pretty decently here at UFD Tech. We hit 1 million in July of last year, so roughly 40% growth in about 15 months. Pretty good, not too shabby. We did 150 odd million views in May. We did 93 million views last month, 63 million in August. We've been fluctuating between just under 100 million and just over 100 million views. Growth happening. UFD Tech. I mean, that's one of the big reasons we can make this move to South Africa, is that we have the ability to, lose a little success if by splitting up our team. and we could still survive pretty gosh dang good. And then Thurlock saying, is it just me, or does he seem more relaxed now that he's home? Not saying he wasn't before, you get it. And then Nanao saying, seeing your wife and kids every day will do that to you. So a couple things. Not sure if I do seem more relaxed. I'll leave that up to all of you. I'm not in the process of actively moving across the world anymore, which was a stressor for sure. You know, I don't know that it's necessarily that I'm in South Africa that makes me more relaxed, but just the no longer impending major life change. That's a big thing. But then seeing my wife and kids every day, did you think I left them in South Africa and that like now I'm seeing them and I wasn't seeing them for the last 6 years since we moved? I've been with them what do you mean? That didn't change nothing. And then Nathaniel calling me out for the oopsie doodle that I made in the last episode of Hot News saying, did you say here in the United States? Are you back? I'm not back. I misspoke. That's just, it's second nature for me to say here in the United States. At the beginning of this episode, I definitely made sure to talk more about the local stuff going on, but I made an oopsie. I slip of the tongue. And I'm gonna slip on out of here. This episode of Hot News is done. I'll see you back here for more of the hottest tech news later.